Shalom, Israel. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rakakwadash, double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to like out there doing this work of faith and labor of love and true sincerity. All right, now I want to get into a quick lesson, based upon the book of Lamentations. That we know that, the book of Lamentations is, by Jeremiah, in this, Lamentations is what a woeful state, and him during the time of the Babylonian captivity, and to see that everything that Jake was going through, that was a woeful time, just like the times here, in which we living in Babylon. But our people nowadays, they don't see it as a woeful time because being a slave underneath this modern day Babylonian system has become accustomed to people. They're accustomed to being slaves to Babylon, in which something our people was never accustomed to. So we can see the complete shift from thousands of years ago, until now, and just how lost our people truly are, underneath the hands of the so-called white man and their philosophies, the wine in which they have us drowning in, So this is Lamentations 3, and I want to start at verse start at verse let's start at verse 12. All right, this Lamentations 3 and 12. He has bent his bow and set me as a mark for the arrow. He have caused the arrows of his quiver to enter into my reins. Okay, so I just want to make sure it was all right. I was a derision to all my people in their song all day. And this is how it's come to for us within this modern time because, what's the time now? Everybody's celebrating the holiday. All of this BS, that don't really mean nothing, that's rooted in wickedness, you know, um, as it says in Job, how can clean thing, how can a clean thing come out of an unclean thing, which you can't. People can sit there and try to justify, you know, um, as much as they want this time of year and the family and different things like that, but there is no justification for it, period, man. Look at the history of every holiday in which America celebrates. It's the destruction of our people. That's what their holidays come down to, the destruction of our people. Now, a lot of our holy days was destruction of other nations. That's what was something to celebrate on our end. So as you can see, what other nations would obviously take joy in destroying other nations, you know. But with our case, our cases of you know uh, destroying other nations, it was a tale, a historical point of redemption, of us coming up out of a situation and the Lord delivering us. Theirs is pure wickedness, just to destroy and slaughter another people and to celebrate that victory. You know, our victory was of getting up out of oppression, So you can clearly see the difference and how devilish these current holidays are. And it's destruction, it's the destruction of us. But yet people want to justify this by saying it's for the family and different things like that. When family could plan up any other time of the year to get up, right? You could point just like our family would, they would plan a family reunion. You could do the same thing a couple of times a year besides this, and to celebrate in the name of these holidays. It's crazy, man. Before I continue on here, get our common scripture that we always go to for this time of the year because it speaks heavy to our brothers. Gad. Okay. This is Psalms 55. I mean, it speaks in general to all of our people, but being at this time of the year and this BS Thanksgiving, just you know, so Psalms 55, and Uh, start at verse 16. As for me, I will call upon Yahweh, and the Lord shall save me. Evening and morning and at noon will I pray and cry aloud, and he shall hear my voice. He hath delivered my soul in peace from the battle that was against me, for there were many with me. The Most High shall hear and afflict them, even he that abideth of old Salah, because they have no changes, therefore they fear not the Lord. Verse 20, at this point, he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. Who does this clearly speak unto? The so-called white man, setting up, 400 to 500 treaties, with our brothers, Gad and, Gad, Reuben, the other tribes that were here in Americas at the time, and what they broke their covenants. They broke their covenants, used them to destroy their own brothers. This is how Esau does. They divide and they conquer. One of the oldest tricks, in the book, um, verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were there drawn swords. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. So, regardless of everything that the so-called white man has done, you know, his words, are so beguiling, to Jake. They get subdued by that. They don't see the evil that's really within this man's heart, that's really within this man's mind. Because our people in general are peaceful people. You want to be, extending the hand out to the next person because the way that life was intended to be. But obviously, this man doesn't care about the way that life was intended to be because he is haywired for nothing but death and destruction and to seek after his own at any cost, at any circumstance, towards any other people upon the face of the earth. So there is no getting along with this man whatsoever, right? Whatsoever. Okay. So go back to Lamentations. I forget what verse it was at. His Lamentations 3 and 14. I was a derision to all my people, and their song all the day. He hath filled me with bitterness. He hath made me drunken with wormwood. He hath also broken my teeth with gravel stones. He hath covered me with ashes. And thou hast removed my soul far, far off from peace. I forget prosperity. And I said, my strength and my hope is perished from the Lord. Remembering mine affliction and my misery, the wormwood and the gall. So at times, when prosperity seems so far from our people and just how it does with a lot of people now, it's like damn, well, what can ever be good again? That's why it says in the book of Sirach, in the days of prosperity, there's a forgetfulness of poverty. In the days of poverty, there's a forgetfulness of prosperity because it's just like the days at the time, it's like it just goes with the wind. And you really can't tell whether you coming and going when things just seem to abruptly switch when it was all good just a week ago, as they say, you know. That's how it goes because majority of our days, are spent in misery, are spent in poverty, are spent in oppression by the so-called white man, in food, clothing, shelter, the water we drink, the air we breathe, everything. We're being oppressed on all sides and all angles. And that within this society, there's truly no escape. That's why we have to escape mentally up out of this place because obviously, this should tell us that there's nothing here for us. But yet people want to continue to try to, um, to make something within the society that is not set for them. The so-called white man designed it for you not to prosper. He designed it so that you will succumb to his will mentally and try to force yourself into his program in which you were never made to fit within this puzzle, you know, period. So, going on, verse 20, it says, my soul have them still in remembrance and is humbled in me. So this is what's supposed to humble us and to get us to really get our gears grinding, our mind going, so to speak. As one of the favorite scriptures that I like to get in the book of Deuteronomy. Let me grab it real quick. It's Deuteronomy 28 and 47. No, it's 46. Yeah. Um, and they shall, start at verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So, us being within this state is supposed to bring us into remembrance of key things. And what key things? The things of the scriptures of why we're going through the situations in which we're going through, because only the scriptures can give a clear and concise account for all of our the atrocities that were committed against our people, for the current position that we're in, how we got here, today's timing, and how we will get out of this situation. So let's get back to it. Yeah, Lamentations 3 and 21. We'll read 20 again. My soul had them still in remembrance and is humbled in me. This I recall to mind. Therefore have I hope. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, saith my soul. Therefore will I hope in him. The Lord is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that seeketh him. It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord. It is good for a man that he bear the yoke in his youth. So this is why, the men of old still had that faith, because they looked upon the things of old and see how the Lord compassion towards his people is never ceasing, it's never ending. So as the days go, this is something that our people need to keep in mind towards hoping and waiting on the salvation of the Lord. Which Lord that is? The Lord of the scriptures, not Cesare Borgia, not Serapis Christus, but Heavenly Father Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shah. And our true identity as us being Hebrew Israelites. This is what people have to come back to. This is what they have to be waiting on for our rulership that is to come. So with that, I hope this segment was edifying. And I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakwadash, the Bawanas, the apostles, and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to Lek out there doing this work of faith and live with love, truth, sincerity. Shalom.